Life to Heart, a program which aims to help you understand and to become your loving self at KMET 1490 AM ABC Radio News Life. I'm Dr. Mitra Rashidian. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Well,
You're waiting for me to do that, right? And I'm a certified sexologist in full-time private practice. Okay, I'm going to behave, right? So I'm here today with, Dr. Robert Jaffe, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified hypnotherapist as well, who has been my mentor from the beginning that we met. Today, my very best friend, my very good business partner and colleague, and everything else that we have shared with each other, and I have grown to be the person I am today. And thank you for that. And I'm welcoming you to your show.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm Dr. Robert Jaffe. Part of who I am is somebody who does psychotherapy with people, and I love what I do. I'm
Yes.
extremely fortunate that I happen to become attracted to this field and to pursue it and to enjoy learning about people, learning about myself, and helping myself and others to lead a happier and more productive life.
Exactly.
That's my goal, and I've been doing it as a licensed person since 1984. I started going back to school in 1980, and I started doing my internship in 1981. So it's been about 40 years that I've actually been working with people. And the first time that I saw a client, I was working. I actually wasn't even done with my master's degree. I was in a master's program, and normally did not allow people to see other people until they had finished their master's program. In this particular instance, one of the teachers took a liking to me and told me that they would allow me to see people, but of course I couldn't get paid for it. The place that I went was both a school and a counseling center. And so they had people coming in, and this was in 1981, maybe the end of 81. And I started to see people. And the first person I saw was a woman, and she was struggling with some relationship issues. And she came in and she paid $15 to the center for an hour of my time, of which I didn't get any, but that was fine. I just wanted the experience. But $15 was quite a bit at the time, 1981. To get paid $15 for an hour's work was pretty good, even though I didn't get any. But I was really excited just to be able to work as a fledgling therapist. And at the end of the session, she said, I really enjoyed this. Do you mind if I come back?
Oh, nice.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You can come back and see me again. And I was so thrilled that she wanted to come back. And she walked out of the door, and I remember jumping up and clicking my heels and going, wow, that was so much fun. That I had such a blast, in working with her and trying to help her. And apparently she felt good about it because she wanted to come back. And a bonus is I could have made that $15. So, so I was so excited about it. And so that was my first client. And now, of course, I've seen thousands of people over the years, and that feeling actually has not gone away. It's just every time somebody walks in, I feel so blessed to be in the position that I am. And now, with having all the studying done and all the other experiences and working with so many people, all the coursework that I've taken and everything else, and I feel I'm so much more effective. That feeling, that high feeling, it doesn't go away. And so even when I work a day and a full day, and I work maybe long hours, and I work like maybe 12 or 13 hours in a day, at the end of the day,
It's so energetic.
I don't feel tired.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I never get tired. And people ask me, how can you do this all day? I said, I just, because it's so joyful.
It is. It is. Yes, it's joyful. And then people go, well, how can you feel good? People are bringing in their problems, and and my answer is, they're bringing me in their yes, they're bringing me in their problems, but the reason they're coming in is because they are open to seeking solutions.
Yeah.
And so I am helping them find solutions in the ways that I've learned how to do, and so I don't see it as that they're just coming in to complain. They're coming in to do psychological, emotional work on themselves so that they can begin to resolve those problems. And when they do, they feel so good, and I feel so good. And so even if the person just comes in for one session and I never see them again, I still feel good because I know I gave them a gift.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. I mean, it's not easy for people to accept that they have a problem and they have to solve it.
Right.
That's it. That's
Right.
a challenge on its own, a big challenge for somebody to agree with himself or herself
Mm-hmm.
that I'm suffering from this. This is a problem for me, and I want to do something about it.
Yes.
So once a person gets to that point, and they come in and they choose either one of us as their therapist, it is their faith in us that brings them to us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that faith, it's such a gift that they bring with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that this person has faith in me, that I can be of help related to their issue.
Right.
It's such an honor to receive, to
Mm-hmm.
begin with.
Mm-hmm.
At least this is how I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
When families, couples, individuals give me that, because that's the initial feeling that I'm getting from my clients.
Mm-hmm.
They have so much faith
Mm-hmm.
that this is their last stop to get help.
Right.
So that by itself, it's such a boost of energy for me. It's such a high. It's such a divine moment in life every time I meet a client. That gives me the energy that I have to now. I feel accountable that I have to meet that demand and be
Mm-hmm.
able to guide them, help them explore, help them find their way in life.
Yes. Yes.
It's such a gift being in this profession. It's such a gift.
It is. It is. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so in the Jewish religion, I was raised Jewish. I'm not particularly religious. However, I was raised with certain principles about the value of life and how important life is in the Jewish religion. And there's an expression in the Jewish religion. It says, if you save one life, you save the world.
Yes.
And so, and I think I love that expression because each person is a world unto themselves.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they have each person comes in and has their own unique view, their own unique participation, their own unique gifts, their own unique challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole world of experiences reduced into one human being. And so when people come in and ask for help, occasionally you meet somebody who is in a life and death situation. They're either suicidal or they're struggling, and you can help to save their life. But even if they're not in that situation, if you help one person, you also have helped the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I believe not only
Yes.
to save one life, but if you help one life,
Right.
you help the world. And the reason you help the world is because each person that you influence in a positive way takes that positivity and walks out of here and then brings it into their world and all of the people that they know. And so if you're walking down the street and you pass someone and the person smiles at you, that person who smiles at you has affected you. And so you feel differently because that person has smiled at you. Just as if you walk down the street and you walk by someone and that person ignores you
Or frowns
or frowns at you,
Yeah.
you feel differently. But if you make substantial inroads in helping the person, and that person really develops a more positive view of life and a more positive outlook, and they take that into their world, their parents, their children, their co-workers, you are affecting all these people that you will never meet. It's a ripple effect. So
Exactly.
yeah, so we love to do this, and that's why we're doing this radio program. We want to hear from you. We were just blessed because somebody did call in for the first time since we've been doing this on our previous hour. We were so thrilled, and we invite you to call us or to communicate with us through our
Email
page.
address,
Well, our email.
Facebook.
KMET, has its own page, and you can just email us a question or a comment. Also, during this hour, please feel free to call in. Our number is 951-922-3532. 951-922-3532. Anything that you want to say? This other lady that called in talked about social media and how and her feelings about how people use social media as a way of disconnecting from other people.
Yes.
And just aggrandizing themselves. And so we discussed that. So any thoughts that you have about anything, feel free to call in.
Right. It's not necessary that has to be related to the topic in hand. We choose topics because generally, based on our experiences, we believe that people can benefit from listening to them or hearing about them. However, you're more than welcome to choose your own topic, what is your concern, and bring it to us, and we are happy to respond to that.
So what we're going to talk about today, we've only got a couple of more minutes before we take our break, but what we're going to talk about today, we've been talking a lot in this program about codependency. And codependency means being addicted to how other people look at you, right? And of course, the joke that we say in codependency is if you go to bed with someone, you wake up in the morning and you say, "Good morning, how am I?" Right? And although it's a joke, it's not actually that funny because it is actually the way people relate.
Right.
The way that you think of me must be who I am. And if you think highly of me, then I must be someone that is deserving. And if you think very poorly of me, I must be someone who is not deserving.
Yeah, I got, some impression about some examples regarding that. For example, people who go to work, so they have to, fix themselves, in certain way, like the hairdo, the makeup, the outfit, and everything is a way of being accepted that way. It's a way of, how people are going to relate to me now that I have dressed this way, especially if they're wearing something new. Usually people wouldn't mind hearing, a comment, "Oh, this is a brand new outfit, how looks good on you," right?
Right.
Or when people go to party, they want to be commented about their outfits and the way they look.
They want to be
Right.
complimented.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so these are the example of, how am I feeling this morning, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
The way you comment and, compliment me, then I may feel good or not feel good about myself.
So we're going to talk a lot more about this when we come back from our commercial break. Please stay with us. And in the meantime, all you need is love. We'll see you in a few moments.
951-922-3532.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back from our commercial break. This is Heart to Heart program at KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio Live. Dr. Robert and Dr. Mitra here. For those of you who are just joining us, we have this episode under the title of Codependency, Addictions, Trauma, Impacting Relationships with Dr. Robert Jaffe and myself. We would like to invite you to please call us and share your thoughts, your desires, your wants. What would you like to hear in this program? And we are happy to provide that for you. Our phone number is 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. And this program belongs to you. Therefore, please feel free to join us at any time during the show or after via private, contact information.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, Dr. Jaffe.
Thank you. So we're going to be talking about communication. And communication is so vital because human beings are communicative animals, okay? When I say animals, that part of us that has a body is an animal, right? The body of an animal performs certain animalistic things. We all eat food. We all digest. We all excrete waste matter. We all are sexual. We all get hungry and thirsty. We all get cold. We need shelter. Those are things of the body. The part of us that is not animal, which is our spirit, doesn't have any of those attributes. That the spirit does not get hungry for food anyway. The spirit does not get does not digest. The spirit is not sexual. The spirit is that part of us which is capable of transcending that animal part of us. And when I say transcending, when we hear of selfless acts, when we hear of one person jumping into a raging stream of water to save somebody else, that part of them, that is the spirit part of them. The spirit part of them, the spirit part of us is the part of us that wants to love and be loved. The spirit part of us is the part of us that wants to connect with others and feel like we are a part of something larger than ourselves. The spirit part of us is the part of us that is capable of great acts of kindness, great acts of gratitude and appreciation. So that part of us, that spiritual part of us, is the part of us that is not animal and actually is what I would call the being part of the human being. The human part is the part of us that is in a body, that does have bodily needs and bodily desires. And so the combination is human being. We're all that. In saying that, I want to say that because we are all human beings, we all have a spirit and we all have a body. For the most part, people in general, and I'm not saying everybody because it is not ubiquitous, but for the most part, most people are more involved with the human part of the human being than the being part. And the human part has to do with what we call our ego. Our ego is that part of ourselves which is always looking out for us to make sure that we survive. And so the ego's basic job is to look out for things that could injure us and destroy us. We need that in order to survive because we do have bodies, and our bodies are very important to us in this form, in the form of being a human being. So I am not one who goes along with the New Age belief that the ego is the enemy. In fact, I think there's even a book that says the ego is the enemy. I don't look at it that way. I look at it that the ego is a part of us, but as long as we have bodies, we will have an ego. And to say that the ego is the enemy is to say that part of us is evil. And I don't think that the ego in and of itself is evil. I think it simply has to do with physical survival, and as a result, it's very interested in fear.
And today we know that aspect of ego just being related to physical safety has expanded itself. It has evolved also into emotional safety.
Right. So on the physical level, it's pretty easy to see that if somebody is threatening me with a knife or a gun or an axe or a baseball bat, that my ego is going to jump in to try to save me. And my ego is going to jump in and create feeling states which make it, which try to bring me back to a place of safety. Those feeling states will be fight. I can fight the other person. I can run away, or I can freeze.
Right.
Those flight, flight, or freeze responses, which are the ego's doing, are survival mechanisms. And there are a lot of people who in war froze and actually fell down on the ground. And when the enemy came, the enemy thought of them as dead and did not shoot them. And they survived because of the freeze response. And then, of course, we all know about fight and flight. That's obvious, right?
Right.
So, so that part of us that is ego is not a bad part. However, when that part of us becomes the dominant way in which we live our lives, and you just made a comment that the ego has expanded itself from physical to emotional. So what that means is that our feelings, which our feelings can be hurt, we can get disappointed with people. People can say hurtful things to us. People can call us names. The old saying, "Sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but names can never hurt me." That saying is not accurate. That saying is a wish that names can never hurt me. And certainly, if you are much more on the spiritual, then names will hurt you less than if you're much more on the physical level.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
But names do hurt our feelings. We do want to be held in high esteem by other people, and so emotionally, when we have been when we feel as though we're being put down or belittled or embarrassed or humiliated by somebody else, that ego part of us comes to our rescue and wants to fight, flight, or freeze, just as it does in a physical situation. What that means then is that we confuse emotional survival with physical survival, and we act as though when our emotions are being hurt, that we are physically under attack. And we've heard that a lot in politics. Well, he attacked me, so I attacked him back.
Right.
Right. We use that terminology rather than saying, well, he used words that portrayed me as not a good person, that portrayed me as somebody who wasn't intelligent, that portrayed me as this or that. And I am none of those, and I don't have to respond because I'm none of those. But instead, our ego takes it as like a physical attack, and we want to attack back. And that happens, of course, in politics. It happens between human beings. It happens in all relationships, and it happens between countries. So the expression "them are fighting words" is actually taken literally, and people do come to blows over how they talk to each other.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So in terms of how does this relate to codependency, if I am not secure within myself that I am okay, and I am looking for validation of my being lovable, or my being competent, or my being smart, or my being attractive, if I'm looking for confirmation from you, and I need that confirmation in order to bolster up my own belief that I am those things, and you do not give me that confirmation, or worse yet, you give me disconfirmation, or you say I'm not any of those things, I am going to feel injured, and I am going to feel sometimes devastated.
Right.
Yeah. And that happens in relationships, and especially when people are codependent on one another, meaning looking for validation from the other person. So we say, okay, well, but isn't it part of the human, isn't it part of being human to want other people to like us? And my answer is absolutely. We all want people to like us. We all want people to smile at us. We all don't like it when people frown at us. We all don't like it when people say hurtful things to us. but it's a difference between preference, what we like and don't like, and feeling as though we are devastated or we are so injured that we have to, that the only thing we can think about is revenge.
Right, right. And then, sometimes that revenge, is so subconscious that we don't recognize that we're doing it. I see that, in couples sometimes that they hear, because essentially the revenge is not something about their partner. The revenge is a subconscious reaction, which the negativity of that is projected on the partner, but the revenge is about the parents. The revenge is about something else.
Right.
But it shows itself as a negative emotion, and therefore its related reaction into the spouse or the partner that's in the relationship with the
Right.
individual.
What you're referring to is transference.
Well, yeah, transference, yes, or projection.
Projection, yeah.
Yes.
So, speaking of projection, I'm going to talk a little bit now about projective identification.
Good.
Yeah, because projective identification is so powerful and used so much in everyday verbal interactions that people don't really understand what it means, or when they are doing it to someone else, or when someone else is doing it to them.
Exactly, and that's so interesting, because we're doing it, but we don't know we're doing it.
Right, right. So I'm gonna read right now a brief definition of projective identification. The book I'm reading from is what I call the Bible of codependence. It's called Codependence: Healing the Human Condition. It's by Charles Whitfield. I've talked about this book a number of times. And so one of our great psychologists was a person by the name of Klein. And Klein talked about projective identification in this way. And this was actually done in the 1930s. He said that projective identification is the result of the projection of parts of the self into an object. So, it may result in the objects being perceived as having acquired the characteristics of the projected parts of the self. But it can also result in the self becoming identified with the object of its projection. What does that mean? That means...
I'll let you describe it.
So, the first part is the result of the projection of parts of the self into an object. So, to us, our bodies are objects, right? Our bodies are objects because they are material, and they can change, and they can be hurt or cut off from us. They can be injured. They are a part of us. And so another person's body is an object to us. Now, the person themselves is much more than their body. But to people who are operating on the ego level and are not operating from a spiritual perspective, the other person is an object to them. Because the other person, even though we understand intellectually that the other person has their own thoughts and perceptions, we still see that person as something solid and less than fully human. We see them
Right.
just as an object for us to utilize. So projection would mean, if I am, I'll use this term, if I am, let's say, if I am insecure about my own intelligence, and then I believe that means that I don't think I'm as smart as other people. And then you and I are having a discussion, and you start talking about intelligence, and I perceive that you are making a derogatory comment about me, even though you may or may not be doing that. That part of me that is insecure will take that insecurity and project that insecurity onto you, and tell you you're stupid
Or you're wrong.
or you're wrong. Yeah. So I'm taking my insecurity and projecting that insecurity onto you and giving you in my mind, I'm telling you that there's something wrong with you because I am unwilling to say I'm insecure about my intelligence. So that is one person projecting their insecurity onto another. Now, how often does that happen in parent-child relationships? Where the parent is insecure about things about themselves and they give messages to the child that the child believes are true because it's coming from the parent, and the child then all of a sudden believes that they are less than,
Right.
because the parent is projecting that onto the child.
Right.
And we just got notified again. We're about to take our last break. Please stay with us, and we will continue this fascinating discussion in a moment.
See you shortly. Fundamental aspect of psychology impacting our relationship, codependency, which basically may be coming from traumatic experiences. And Dr. Jaffe was giving us example about this important and very much needed to be aware of concept in life.
Right.
And I'd like to invite you to please join us. Our phone number 951-922-3532, and we love to hear from you. This program belongs to you, so please join us.
Absolutely. We would love to hear from you. We want to know that there are people listening. We got a great reinforcement in our previous program. Somebody actually called in, and it was wonderful. And we would love to hear from you and any thoughts that you have about our program today, or anything that's going on in your life that you'd like to bring up and either get feedback on or just share. We'd really appreciate that.
951-922-3532.
Right. So projective identification is taking an aspect of myself that I am not particularly happy with. So, for example, my father, may he rest in peace, used to say, you have to be able to make a living. Now, as his son, I mean, on the surface, yeah, that's a true statement. You have to be able to make a living. However, since he was my father and he was saying that to me, my thought was, well, why is he saying that to me? Does he think that I won't be able to make a living? And he never really said what making a living was. So making a living might be just getting by, or making a living might be making a lot of money, but I had no idea what it was. But also I felt like since it was something I had to do, I didn't have a choice in the matter, and therefore, what if I couldn't do it? What if I couldn't make a living according to what my dad thought? So it left me feeling very insecure about money and about being able to make enough money. I didn't realize until much later in life that my dad was very insecure about making money. And my dad actually did share that with me when I became older. And it made a lot of sense to me why he kept saying that to me, is because he wasn't sure that he could do it. But what happened was he projected that insecurity onto me by that comment.
Right.
And then, so he projected it onto me, and then I absorbed that projection and made it a part of myself, as though his insecurity was now my insecurity. So that's what projective identification does. Now, in all relationships, we communicate, and we communicate in order to give and to receive. Communication is a two-way street.
Right.
As I'm talking, I am communicating, and I'm giving you something. Now, in radio, as we're doing here, I'm giving you something, and you are receiving. You're not giving back to me because this isn't a two-way communication. But if I'm in a relationship with someone like my partner, Dr. Rashidian, and I say something to her, I'm giving and she's receiving, then she says something back to me, she's giving and I'm receiving, right? Well, what if we don't like the message? What if the message is you really screwed up in this particular situation? You really didn't do it correctly. You really shouldn't have thought that way or done it that way. Then what I'm doing is I'm making a judgment about her, and she, in listening to it, is actually free to accept my view of it or to not accept my view of it. However, in a codependent relationship, since my view of her is more important to her than her view of her, she will then have to accept my view of her, and if it's a good view, she will feel happy, and if it's a not so good view, she will feel unhappy or angry. And then if she feels unhappy or angry, then she may say something back to me, which hypothetically I am free to accept or reject. But if I'm codependent, then I have to accept her view. And if her view is not positive, then I will feel unhappy or angry.
So no wonder you and I are mostly angry at each other.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop myself.
You couldn't stop yourself
from making that joke.
Okay. But I'm hoping that people can understand this, because this is so powerful, and it happens so often in relationships, because people don't recognize that what another person gives us is simply an offering of what their thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are, and it's a present to us. What it can do is it can help us to grow, because now we have a perspective that is other than our own perspective on something. And when we have two perspectives on something, it widens our world. When we have more than two perspectives on something, it makes our world even wider, right?
Right.
But just talking about a relationship between two people, if I don't have enough faith or belief in my perspective, and I assume, ASSUME, to make an ass out of you and me, I assume that your perspective is more valid than mine, then I am going to be nervous about what you say to me and how you treat me.
I think it's more of about the fear comes about how a person may treat the other one when the person who's presenting may have a stronger, opinion or a message. So the other person may feel fearful about the treatment or the consequent, I forgot the word. Be fearful about what comes next.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be valued at the same level? Am I going to be, looked upon as I used to be looked at? Am I going to be in the game as I have been, right?
Right.
Or is this person going to lose interest in me?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I better soon make this person feel wrong so that I keep my position in the relationship.
Right. Or in a codependent relationship, I have to back down and let this person feel right, so that the person will still like me and care about me.
Exactly.
Right. So in a codependent relationship, we're hanging on the other person's smile or frown, both actually and metaphorically. And so we become so invested in pleasing the other person that what we want and our authentic true self goes underground. And we may even convince ourselves that what they want is fine with us. Mm-hmm. I was talking earlier about this client, a woman who became invisible in order to feel safe in her family of origin. She didn't want to be seen. She didn't want other people to know what she was thinking or feeling. She just wanted to stay away so people would overlook her, and so she wouldn't be put down. And she felt invisible because there was so much energy around her mother. and she felt like, okay, that's my role. My role is to be invisible, and that's my safe place. I can be invisible because if they do notice me, I'm not going to be criticized because they're not going to have anything to criticize. So her fear of being criticized became so big that she wanted to stay invisible. And then later on, when she grew up and got married, she replayed that with her husband, and she wanted to, and she tried to stay invisible with her husband, and her husband felt left out. He didn't understand what she was thinking or feeling, and if he would ask her, she wouldn't be able to answer him. So so that that is an extreme example of codependency, where you believe you know what you need to do in order to stay safe, and what you believe you need to do is to not be your authentic true self.
Right.
Right.
Right. Because it's safer to be your false self or your codependent self in order to believe that you're maintaining the relationship. Actually, a codependent relationship ultimately is not a healthy one, and actually, it just causes further more severe and stronger problems
Mm-hmm.
than leading to a happy life.
Right. Right. So the question we need to ask ourselves in every communication is, am I am I talking with this person in order to understand, or am I talking to this person in order to convince?
Right.
If I'm talking to this person in order to understand, that means that I am going to be curious. I will ask questions. I will paraphrase what I believe they're saying, and ask them if my paraphrase is correct.
Right.
And I will be very clear before I respond, because I want to make sure that I understand exactly what their communication is and why they're saying what they're saying.
Right.
On the other hand, if I'm communicating in order to convince, I don't have any curiosity, because all I want is to get their compliance. And so if I get the person's compliance, then I feel like good because I've won. I'm getting my way.
Yeah.
So I want to go out and see this movie tonight. It starts at 7 o'clock. I'd like you to be ready by 6:30. So that's an example of a communication that is to convince.
Right.
Right? I want to go see this movie tonight. That's what I want. I'd like you to be ready at 6:30. The movie starts at 7. We'll leave at 6:30. Right? Now, the person who's receiving that communication has a choice of how they respond to that communication. And if that person does not necessarily want to go see that movie, but they feel as though if they say no, the other person is going to be upset with them, and being upset with them is going to make them feel like there's something wrong with them, because the other person who is their everything is upset with them.
Yeah.
Then they're going to say okay, even though they don't really want to go out and see that movie.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. And I have seen that with parents, and so the mom says, okay, children, get ready, we're going to be doing this, but mom, I don't want to. You need to do it, your dad said so.
Right. Right. And so
You need to respect your dad.
exactly.
Right.
And that's not to say that communication in all instances is a poor communication. It depends a lot on the circumstances, the age of the children,
The repeating
and
of
what
that.
and what's been happening
Right.
previously to that.
Right.
However, when we're talking about adult relationships, a different kind of communication is, I'm thinking about, I'm thinking I'd like to see this movie tonight. It starts at 7. And are you interested in going to see the movie? And then the other person says, well, I don't know. What's the movie about? And then you say, well, I think it's about this, this, and this. And the other person says, well, I'm not sure. Can we look at some other movies? Now we're in a negotiation, and now we're having a discussion about it.
1 minute.
Rather than an insistence that my way is the only way. My way is the right way. So we just got notified that we're out of time. Unfortunately, we've had a very quick hour, but it always seems to go quickly.
You realize that every time we get to the juicy part, we have to stop.
Well, I think I disagree. I think we're at the juicy part a lot.
Yes, we
And
are,
and
but
and
it
and we,
just
and
feels
we
like wanted to go on and listen to it. And in particular, the way you describe it, you just want to continue and listen to
Oh,
it.
well, thank you.
Sure, and I
That's
like to maybe start, talking about this again the next time, right? So for now, we have to say goodbye. We want to thank you for joining us, and we would like to invite you to join us next Thursday at 3 p.m. for human sexuality, and at 4 for the topic we just shared with you, codependency, trauma, addictions, all impacting relationships. And we thank you for choosing these 2 hours and staying with us. And please call us and share your opinion, share your stories. That's what we are interested in. And don't forget, until the next time, all you need is love.
all you need is love. Please have a great weekend and be safe. And we'll see you next week.